There's one song on the Wheels of Steel album that could have made Saxon even bigger than they ever were.
We're not sort of superstars, you know.
747 Strangers in the Night was one of Saxon's biggest early hits. Inspired by a real-life blackout, the song had everything: a powerful story, a killer chorus, and a serious momentum, which was sadly cut short by national television.
It's just outrageous.
So today, let's take a look at the history of one of the biggest Saxon hits, and then discuss how 747 Strangers in the Night got robbed of an even bigger legacy. Here you go. Super quick guys, as always, please do not hesitate to comment on anything you hear or see in this video, and especially if you disagree with me, because the whole point of our Metal Pilgrim channel is of course to start a conversation. But alright, let's do it. The idea for 747 Strangers in the Night came from a BBC documentary Biff Byford was watching in 1979, and more specifically the one about the 1965 Northeast blackout in the United States and Canada, with one particular detail standing out for Biff and laying the foundation for this track. Planes forced to circulate in the dark for hours because runway lights had failed, and that haunting image became the core of this song.
We got a 747 coming down in the night. There's no power, there's no room left.
Biff later on paired that vision with a lyric he had stuck in his head: riding on a 747, which apparently he heard in some other song right before watching that documentary, and shaped it into a story of isolation and urgency in the sky. Oh, and the second part of the title, and the main lyrics of its chorus, of course, was a nod to a song by a legendary singer Biff Byford to this very day is a huge fan of, but just with a slight darker twist to it.
Strangers in the night, two lonely people.
Unlike many metal tracks of that time, 747 wasn't a song about war, rebellion, or even about fantasy. It was grounded in real-world drama of the events which took place not that long ago, and that made it stand out back in 1980. Although I think it might make it stand out once again today in 2025, given the recent events in Spain and Portugal, evoking a clear déjà vu of the ones which inspired Biff back more than 40 years ago. But most importantly, 747 was the first song on which the band took an absolutely different direction musically, crafting a more atmospheric and melodic track compared to pretty much anything they have done before. The song opens with a guitar arpeggio that sets a cold, tense mood, which is very different from the raw power of Motorcycle Man or Wheels of Steel, with Paul Quinn and Graham Oliver creating a layered guitar texture that mimics the feeling of altitude and open air, which, paired with the whole fact that Biff Byford notoriously hated flying, especially back then at the start of his career as a musician, created a very real and melancholic atmosphere, and yet at the same time capturing the aggression of the early days of the new wave of British heavy metal. And now, preceded by the single release of its iconic title track, Wheels of Steel, released in May of 1980, became an instant hit and reached number 5 in the UK album charts and was gaining a huge popularity all across Europe. And thus it is absolutely no surprise that its most radio-friendly tune, 747 Strangers in the Night, released as a single in June of 1980, pretty much immediately cracked the UK top 20 charts and brought Saxon its so much needed invitation to Top of the Pops, the BBC's flagship weekly music chart show running from 1964 to 2006, which for decades was the ultimate platform for British artists to showcase their singles to a nationwide audience, and which before 1980 only a handful of heavy metal acts had a chance to perform it. And thus, a performance with such a radio-friendly heavy metal tune was supposed to skyrocket Saxon's career, and not only among metalheads, but among mainstream audiences alike. And this is where it all became weird. An invitation to perform 747 Strangers in the Night, which by then was already climbing the UK charts at the top of the pops, was a golden opportunity which should have taken Saxon from metal legends to household names. But when that episode aired, what fans saw was not Saxon. The July 9th edition of Top of the Pops in 1980 looked different from the start. Instead of the usual high-energy top 30 countdown, the show opened with an awkwardly slow montage of the upcoming acts, concluding with the host Peter Powell promising heavy metal at its finest from Saxon. Only something was rather off about that version of Saxon. As thanks to yet another ongoing strike by one of the unions, no musicians were allowed to perform, well, sort of perform, mime their own songs on BBC. And instead of pulling the segment, BBC came out with simply a brilliant idea. Invited random studio crew members and staff to go up on stage and pretend to rock out as or to Saxon. And no one seemed to even tell them what it was all about.
You get to bring in any one person from the outside to help you on your journey.
Sir, athletic, knows karate. Intelligent, strategic, knows karate.
Wait a minute.
And so in reality, despite being listed as one of the Saxon songs performed at the Top of the Pops, Saxon never actually got to Top of the Pops with 747 Strangers in the Night. And later on, recalling this episode, Biff Byford jokingly admitted that if they would have done it, this song would probably have gotten a lot higher in the charts. As back in 1980, Top of the Pops was like the British MTV. If you did it, you crossed over quite a bit. And the band and its management were actually eyeing for 747 Strangers in the Night to land at top 5 in the UK charts, especially since it was a bit of a crossover, a not brutal metal song which presented how melodic heavy metal can actually be, introducing more and more new mainstream audiences to the world of Saxon and new wave of British heavy metal overall.
Strangers in the night. Strangers in the night.
But nevertheless, despite all that, melodically, Saxon did make a real statement with 747. And despite not having been performed at Top of the Pops, this song still peaked at number 13 in the singles charts. A major achievement for a heavy metal band in any era. And therefore, it is absolutely no surprise that even today, 45 years later, heavy metal fans simply go crazy when hearing the opening riff to that song being performed live. And in honesty, I am always one of those. But anyways, what do you guys personally think about this song and about Saxon overall? And have you ever heard the band playing that song live? Please let us know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching this short video, guys, and will prevail. Slava Ukraini!